wondering what your sweet spot is and in what kinds of businesses you like to invest.
So for the past 6 years, I've been investing in consumer internet. 6 years ago, I saw this new generation of consumer internet companies popping up being extremely capital efficient. And so I said, this is a great business opportunity for me as an investor. Let's invest in them. And so that's what I've been doing. I've closed about 19 investments in 6 years.
Wow.
All consumer internet, search engines, communities. I've done a lot of web services companies. I've done a few sort of different things on the side, but mostly consumer internet.
Fantastic. And what percentage of women startups do you get pitches for, and what percentage have you funded?
So to be honest, on the pitches I receive from women, I don't track that percentage at all.
Right.
I was sort of joking to you
Yes.
as we were sort of chatting, preparing this,
Yes.
that I'm actually not tracking, the gender, the sex orientation, the color, the funny accent or whatever.
Which
So
is great.
actually, I don't know. There's obviously not that many women entrepreneurs sort of pitching.
Yes.
What I can tell you is that in the portfolio, because I've done my list, I have 7 women who are CEOs, and I have 3 additional who are co-founders. So 10 women are involved as co-founders or the top executive in companies that I've backed. So on 90 deals, we'll say it's about 12%.
Wow. Thank you. You're obviously doing your bit for our cause.
Yeah, but to be clear,
Yes.
I back those women because they kick ass, and the fact that they're women sort of.
But that's the
you know.
best reason, I would say, that you don't have any bias or prejudice, and that it's just a good entrepreneur or
Yep.
a good startup that you're looking for. It's
Great entrepreneur,
fantastic.
great idea, great market opportunity. Let's do it.
Fantastic. Have you noted differences with women entrepreneurs and how they pitch and build businesses? Obviously, you've had a great exposure to women who have come and pitched and women startups that you're working with.
I think, so because my premise is that I back sort of very strong entrepreneurs, I will sort of deeply respect. I haven't seen, I think that they pay attention to, the social, the personal side of things a bit more. They tend to sort of, communicate well. They tend to have sort of everything that essentially a woman brings to a management team or a founding team. Sort of you find in the way they build a culture,
Right.
but in the way they've actually sort of built their startups, not really. No,
Oh,
I
great.
can't sort of point to anything that would be different.
Great.
At least not in my mind.
Okay, fantastic. Cindy Gallop, founder of If We Ran the World, said in a recent interview, VCs fund in their own image, white and male. The cycle's self-perpetuating, so predominantly male VCs have a preconceived notion in their heads of what they think constitutes the kind of entrepreneur to back. John Doerr apparently said, if you're white, under 30, tech geek with no social life, and a Harvard-Stanford dropout lineup for VC money, he didn't say male, but he might as well have. If it had been a 17-year-old Russian girl who came up with chat roulette, would there be as much interest in funding whatever she might do next? So what's your take on this, Jeff? And if this is happening, how can women startups find an opening in this culture apart from bombarding you?
Well, that's such a cliche. So stepping back, if you look at the law of large numbers, it is true that the vast majority of the emails, of the intros, of the pitches I get are
Yes.
from white male entrepreneurs. Even though, to be honest, in the Valley, you have, because we have such a melting pot of culture and,
Yes.
and as I call them, the funny accents, that I don't even pay attention anymore. Where
Right.
I would say that half of what I get is actually male, definitely. I mean, definitely overwhelmingly male.
Yes.
But different colors and
Yes.
people coming from different countries with different accents, whatever. Which, being sort of French myself, I don't tend to sort of pay much attention to. So it's true that the vast majority of what I see is male. I don't have this sort of notion of, we need to have a percentage of women, we don't, or
Yes.
only back male, whatever, because for me it's, it's the person, it's the, is that team, is that person really sort of the best to address that particular opportunity? The answer is yes, then let's figure out a way
Okay.
to fund her or him or them.
Okay.
I like to see a funding team of 2 or 3 people.
Yes.
I've only seen once a funding team which was only made up of women. It's my friends who are doing Blogger.
Yes.
3 women co-founders. I've never seen that, but I've seen a bunch of funding teams where there's like 2 guys and 1 woman, or 1 guy and 2 women, and that's great. I think it just adds a lot of diversity, a lot of perspective.
Yes.
But once again, I'm not thinking about, hey, let's make sure we have a percentage that goes to women. I'm glad to have backed all those in the past, and to have like this. And then they all have tremendously interesting personalities, and so I just adore the time I spend with them. But at the end of the day, they're just one of my CEOs. I don't make more time for them. I don't make less time for them. They're just the CEO.
And would you have observed any bias or prejudice in the Valley amongst the venture capital community? I guess it's more a generalised question that I was asking, because obviously you don't have any bias or prejudice.
Yeah, I think the big question around sort of women CEOs or women sort of top executives is how can they deal with the issue of spending 100% of their time at work, dealing with families, the kids and everything.
Yes.
And to be honest, I'm just in awe and I always have deep respect with people like my wife, who essentially deal with their careers and their kids and everything else they do, and you look at that and you go, I'm not sure how you do it, but I love you for that. And so that's always the issue of how can you spend all those hours leading the companies and so on and so forth. And I think that what I've seen in the women who were in the portfolio and have kids and everything is that they have found a way to work smart, very hard, but work smart more than hard. Where I would say that the guys tend to work hard and sometimes not always they go brute force and spend a ton of time as opposed to figuring out how they can optimize. Women by definition, will have to optimize if they sort of want to balance everything. I will add though that most of the gals that I've backed recently are sort of younger, they don't have kids, they're not married, they're like really focused. Married or not doesn't really matter, but they don't have kids yet because they're just devoting all their time on their startups, which is a personal choice.
Yes, okay. And it is definitely that issue is quite big for women. And what you're saying is that you've observed that women have a better work-life balance and are able to manage, keep the boundaries between work and
I think it's they manage it either because they have to, or because they figured it out better than we can do. But as I always say, the number one sort of reason for my personal success is to have a fantastic wife who has been sort of way smarter than I've been to figure out how to manage all those things.
Yes, so we're grateful to your wife.
Oh yes.
So you can continue doing what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Cindy also says, I think not as many women as men actively seek VC money because they're not as tapped into the boys' network as male entrepreneurs are. Young male entrepreneurs can very easily become the flavour of the month and get introduced around from one VC to another. Get the perception going that they're hot and get their funding. It doesn't happen for women that way. Do you think that networking with venture capitalists is harder for women entrepreneurs?
No.
Okay.
No, I think I will definitely call bullshit on this one.
Brilliant.
Because I think that it's a matter, you have to try first and then see whether it works or not. And that's, I see maybe a lot of women or, people are not from here to sort of feel that they can't do it and therefore they don't try, kind of thing.
Got it.
So I've seen,
not taking that risk.
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of successful women entrepreneurs, and some I decided not to back or couldn't back or whatever, but they've been extremely successful at building, hype and interest and ended up sort of oversubscribed in terms of their funding round just because they were really good at it. And so it's not difficult for someone who is passionate about their project and their startup and what they want to try and build to go to one of those mini events and drop you a card, get your attention for a few minutes, and then say, hey, can I follow up by email and organize, a meeting and whatever. And if it sounds interesting, then we'll take the meeting and then we'll continue the conversation.
Brilliant.
You just have to try. You can't sort of sit outside and wait for something to happen because there's there are so many sort of signals coming to us that we won't sort of see that there is someone who might want to talk to us but is too shy to sort of,
So be bold.
Yeah, I mean, just I would say man up, but I don't think it's appropriate.
What do you see as the obstacles for inclusion of women entrepreneurs in achieving funding? You've just mentioned be bolder and be willing to take that risk and try. I guess that's try to do the networking, but also try with the startup, give it a shot if they've got a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's at the end of the day, what the women I've backed have done is nothing more than anyone else, which is to figure out what they're passionate about, where they see a market opportunity, figure out what is the better mousetrap, what is the solution, what is the why they will be the entrepreneur who can figure out either a new market opportunity or a disruption in an existing market, and then go pitch that. And many people sort of say, well, I don't know any VC, so I don't know how to get there. Well, what you do is you figure out who in your network can get you in front of a VC, and you always know someone. I mean, especially, the women who are from here, who've done Stanford or Berkeley or whatever, they know because a bunch of their schoolmates were there, or they always know someone. It's fine if it's like one of their parents' friend or whatever. It doesn't matter. Figure out who in the network is actually able to get you in front of the guys or the people who can help you. And then network your way into it. And that's what everyone does. When I came to this country and decided to actually become a full-time business angel, I didn't know anyone. And so what did I do? I just networked my way in the community, and opened the blog and wrote for 3 years about startups and everything. And with hard work and a bit of luck and a wonderful wife, I managed to sort of do what I've done.
That's
and so
fantastic.
There's nothing.
It's
essentially,
inspiring.
The beauty of the Valley is that it's a complete meritocracy. It doesn't matter where you're coming from, who you are, and what you've done, and no one will tell you you're not allowed to try. And that's really sort of the issue that we have in Europe, because you're like me, you come from there, where if you're not part of the old boys network and you haven't done the right schools or whatever, then there is sort of this natural roadblock.
But I agree with you about the networking, because I did that via blog posts and commenting on different VCs, and when it came time to wanting to do pitches, after I won a spot on the funder.com in January, many were very open to responding to me, even though they'd never met me and I was coming in cold. So I think that there are ways, even when you're distant.
Building a relationship, by sort of sitting on someone's blog and sort of being part of the community or whatever, actually does work. It just takes a lot of time. And, and that works with the people actually sort of open enough to say, hey, we can become blogging buddies, right? Which happened to me when I was actually actively blogging. I don't have time anymore per se. I'm just on Twitter.
I've noticed.
But I actually had blogging buddies. People would sort of sit there and be part of my very sort of tight community, which was really good.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic.